When I returned home from finishing my business trip, the key to the house wouldn't open. I hurriedly asked my husband through the intercom, "Dylan, why won't the house key work?"
"Oh, I changed the locks."
"What? Why would you do that?" I stood there in shock, and my husband spoke coldly.
"You know why, right? We can't cause any more trouble in the neighborhood, so go somewhere else quickly."
And then, the sound abruptly cut off. I pressed the intercom several times, but it seemed like my husband had turned it off. It remained silent. Then, I received a message from my husband on WhatsApp.
"I don't need a wife who uses business trips as an excuse to slack off on household chores. Sleep outside until you reflect on your actions."
The moment I saw that, I felt my body tremble with anger. He leaves all the housework to me, and then he talks like this just because I went on a business trip? I don't need a husband like this anymore. After this, my foolish husband will face hell. My name is Abigail, a 32-year-old working wife. I originally liked fashion and worked as a stylist for fashion magazines. Due to my lifelong passion for fashion, my outfits have gained popularity to the extent that magazines have featured special articles on them. My social media followers include tens and thousands of fans, including popular models, who specifically request to wear only the outfits coordinated by me, saying, "I only want to wear what Abigail has coordinated." My job was fulfilling and enjoyable. As I worked with dedication, I had unknowingly turned 30. My friends, concerned about me not having a boyfriend and being focused on work, decided to introduce me to someone. It was there I met Dylan, who would later become my husband. Dylan is a salaried employee at a major cosmetic company's sales department. I instantly liked him at first sight because of his charming smile. He too took an interest in my work, and as we went out to eat together, our relationship began. Amidst our busy work schedules, we managed to fit in dates, and after a year and a half of dating, Dylan said this to me,
"Abigail, will you marry me?"
"Huh? Really? I'm so happy!" To be honest, I thought the proposal was a bit farther down the road, so I was surprised but delighted. "But Dylan, I love my job. I want to continue working even after we are married." Dylan then smiled and replied,
"Of course. You shine when you work hard. Please stay that way even after we get married."
"Thank you, Dylan." And so, I accepted his proposal, becoming his fiancé. Afterward, we arranged a meeting between both families, and there were no significant issues, so we had our wedding. We rented an apartment at the midpoint between our workplaces and started living together. The first month or so felt like our honeymoon, and we were happy. However, gradually, I began to feel a certain dissatisfaction. That dissatisfaction was the fact that Dylan didn't do any housework at all. For example, one day, Dylan, who woke up more slowly than me, began to leisurely eat the breakfast I had prepared.
"Hey, could you make some coffee? Black is fine."
Dylan saying such things as he read the newspaper. I made him a cup of coffee and started tidying up the finished laundry. Of course, Dylan made no attempt to help, and he left the dishes from the meal as they were and headed for the shower. In the meantime, I finished the laundry and cleaned up breakfast for both of us. After that, we both leave for work at the same time. I often come home later. Even though Dylan gets home first, he just lies lazily on the sofa.
"Hey, Abigail, make dinner quickly. I'm starving."
While feeling a bit irritated by his words, I quickly prepared dinner. Dylan ate in silence while looking at his smartphone. "Hey, can you stop using your phone during mealtime and have a conversation with me?"
"Quit nagging. It's not a big deal, right?
Even when I bring it up, he doesn't stop using his smartphone while eating. After finishing the meal, he goes to take a bath without clearing the dishes. He watches TV and drinks beer while I'm doing the cleanup and the bathroom cleaning. Then, while I'm still not done with all the household chores, he heads to the bedroom by himself. This kind of life continued for several months, and I was accumulating stress. At first, I thought, I'm a wife, so I should do things properly, and I tried my best. But my patience had reached its limit with Dylan, who wouldn't do household chores no matter how many times I asked. I finally decided to have a conversation with my husband. Hey Dylan, I have something important to discuss.
Huh? What? You suddenly sound serious.
I want to have a proper conversation about dividing household chores. Right now, I'm doing everything right. Can't you help out a bit? Dylan then responded with a surprised expression.
Huh? Dividing household chores? Are you telling me to do housework?
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if you could help a bit?
What are you talking about? After getting married, isn't housework entirely the wife's job? I've never heard of making the husband do it.
Dylan delivered this outdated statement with a straight face, and I responded with frustration. That's something from a bygone era. I'm working too, and in a dual-income household, it's common to share responsibility.
But my mom did everything.
That's because your mom was a housemaker, right? Times and the situations have changed. Besides, you said it's okay for me to keep working, right? If that's the case, can you help out with the housework? At that point, Dylan must have given me a fierce look.
Work and household chores are not related, right? Anyway, that's a woman's job.
Huh?
I will never do household chores. It's not something a man should do.
You are saying such old-fashioned things again.
I don't care. I won't do it anyway. You continue taking care of me, as you always have, got it?
With that, Dylan quickly went to take a bath. I was alone with my head in my hands. Since then, I've been busier than ever with my publication, thinking that this situation wasn't sustainable for managing household chores. I decided to consult a busy colleague who was in a similar situation. They informed me we use a housekeeping service. Upon inquiring further, I learned that this service not only handles cleaning and laundry, they are willing to cook and prepare food for you. I thought this was a good idea and promptly told Dylan about it. Hey Dylan, I'm thinking of hiring a housekeeping service. When I told him that, Dylan made a suspicious face.
What's that?
Well, you see, I explained the details and cost of the service. With our income, it's not an unreasonable expense, or so I thought. I thought for sure he'd agree, but...
Absolutely not.
Huh?
I don't want stranger in the house, and it's waste of money, isn't it? Just keep doing everything like before.
But I have a publication coming up, and I'm busy.
That's not relevant. You should keep doing the housework perfectly as you always have. Just because you're busy doesn't mean I will tolerate slacking off.
Dylan said it forcefully, glaring at me. I could only stand in shock. Around that time, that Dylan started coming home late, saying he was getting busier at work. That's never happened before. He claimed he was working late every day, and even working on weekends. Our precious time as a couple disappeared, and we continued to lead separate lives. Despite this, I had to keep the house perfectly. While working, I couldn't help but sigh. Zoe, my close friend and a model, curiously asked what was wrong. Abigail, what's wrong? Why do you look so down? Oh, sorry. I've been a little troubled. I'll listen. How about going out for dinner today? On that day, it seems that Dylan was working overtime, so I accepted Zoe's invitation. We went out for a meal, and I couldn't help but vent about Dylan. What? Isn't that terrible? It's like being treated as a servant. Zoe, after hearing my story, got angry, as if it were her own problem. Just having someone listen to me made my heart feel lighter, I realized. At this rate, won't it affect your work? I have always wanted to work with you, Abigail. Zoe expressed her concern, saying she wanted to work with me. Thank you. I really want to focus on my work. If you ever feel like escaping, feel free to come to my place anytime. I will be there to support you. Zoe said this and shared her home address, which was in a luxury high-rise. Our relationship started with work, but now Zoe was like a close friend in both our professional and personal lives. I genuinely appreciated her. After some time had passed, I was assigned to go on a business trip for an event. I informed Dylan, who returned home late. Dylan, I'm going on a 3-day business trip soon.
Huh? A business trip?
Yes. While I'm away, I will ask you to take care of the things at home. Upon saying this, Dylan furrowed his eyebrows and began to get angry.
Am I supposed to allow such a selfish request? What am I supposed to do about housework while you're gone?
Well, there's no choice but for you to do it yourself. It's just 3 days, right?
I don't want to do housework.
Dylan behaved like a child, and I sighed. How about we hire a professional housekeeper this time?
What? You want me to let a stranger into our home?
As Dylan began to speak, his expression changed suddenly. Dylan?
Well, alright, I guess. I will let you hire someone while you're on your business trip.
For some reason, Dylan started to smirk, and I found it puzzling.
However, you will have to cover the cost of the housekeeper during that time, understood?
If that's what it takes for you to agree, Dylan. So it was decided that I would go on a business trip, and during that time, we would hire a housekeeping service. However, I couldn't help but feel uneasy about Dylan's sudden change of heart. Perhaps there was a hidden reason for his recent late returns, or maybe not. While pondering these thoughts, I secretly installed security surveillance cameras at home without Dylan's knowledge. 1 week later, I set off on my business trip. I was busy with work during my time away, and 3 days passed quickly. I bought a souvenir for Dylan and returned home at night, trying to insert the key into the lock. However, for some reason, the key wouldn't turn. No matter how many times I tried, the key wouldn't open the door. Panicked, I pressed the intercom, and Dylan answered.
Who is it?
It's me. Why isn't the house key working?
Oh, I changed the locks.
What? Why would you do that? I stood there in shock, and Dylan spoke coldly.
You know why, right? You should leave quickly. We don't want to cause a disturbance in the neighborhood.
Then, the audio abruptly cut off. I pressed the intercom multiple times, but my husband either turned it off and it wouldn't ring at all. Then, I received a message from Dylan.
I don't want a wife who skips housework on the excuse that she's on a business trip. You will be sleeping outdoors until you are sorry.
The moment I saw it, I knew I was shaking with rage. You throw all the housework at me, but you say this just because I went on a business trip? I don't want this kind of husband anymore. I turned around silently, grabbed my suitcase, and hailed a taxi. While on the move, I checked the real-time footage from the surveillance cameras I had set up at home. There, I saw the worst scenario I had expected in some corner of my heart. Dylan sitting on our couch, laughing and fooling around with an unfamiliar woman.
I successfully drove away that terrible wife. She didn't even notice you were at home. She's a complete idiot.
Way to go, Dylan!
I'm gathering evidence that she's neglecting housework, and then I plan to divorce her. After that, we can be together, Natalie.
Dylan, I'm so happy! I'll be a good wife! Watching this, I felt more disgust than shocked. These two were openly engaging in inappropriate activities in our home. I made sure to record it. After some consideration about where to go, I contacted Zoe. She invited me to her home, and I explained the whole situation to her. Zoe smiled slightly and said this. Your husband was a sales department manager at Sleek Cosmetics, right? Yes, he was. But at that moment, Zoe started making a phone call. A few minutes later, an elegantly dressed older lady appeared at Zoe's house. This is my mom. Well, Mom? Afterward, Zoe shared something shocking with me. The next day, I returned home. This time, Dylan let me into the house without any resistance.
What's gotten into you? Have you finally come to your senses?
I responded firmly to Dylan's remark. You should be the one reflecting.
Huh?
I caught Dylan off guard and presented him with a signed divorce agreement. I can't go on with you anymore. Please, let's get a divorce. Upon hearing this, Dylan let out a snort.
Did you think I'd back down just because you handed me your divorce agreement? Oh well, I will get a divorce.
With a smirk, he signed it and handed it back to me. Well then, please come in. I called out to the door, and Zoe and her mother arrived together.
Huh? Wait a minute. Zoe, the model? Why are you here? Wait, the president?
Dylan's face turned pale. Yes, Zoe's mother was the president of the cosmetics company Dylan worked for. Zoe called her in, and the president was kind enough to listen to me. And after seeing the evidence of my husband's infidelity that I presented, she said, "Leave it to me." Hello, Dylan. I'm well aware of your situation. As the president stated this calmly, my husband began to sweat profusely.
Yes, but why are you here?
I heard that my daughter's best friend is going through a tough time.
Zoe and you are related?
This fact wasn't publicly known, and I also learned of it for the first time yesterday. Dylan shrank in front of the president. By the way, Dylan, I received a report from someone in the sales department.
Oh,
it seems you have an unusual relationship with Natalie, who works in the same sales department. There have been days when you both go out together for work and don't return? The president questioned Dylan in a matter-of-fact tone. Dylan began to explain himself nervously.
I swear, it's baseless. There's no relationship between her and me. Besides, I have a wife.
Is Natalie this person? I played the video of the two engaging in questionable activities that I had recorded. The unbearable sounds echoed through the room.
What? Why do you have this? Stop it! Stop it!
Dylan made a fierce attempt to snatch my phone from me. Zoe swiftly delivered a sharp chop to his arm.
Ah, it hurts!
You know, I've done martial arts too, despite my appearance. I'll be your opponent. As Dylan tearfully looked up at Zoe, who was smirking, the president interjected. Regardless, there is evidence of your stay at the lodging in the GPS history of the company car. Well, both you and Natalie will face some consequences, I suppose.
What? That's a problem.
Utah is a nice place for your relocation, isn't it? Show your skills in the rural area.
That's...
Seeing that the president's stance remained firm, Dylan turned to me desperately.
Abigail, please forgive me. I will be a better husband from now on. Please put in a good word with the president. What will happen to me if I get transferred?
I pushed Dylan away with all my strength and yelled, "You're so noisy! You haven't done anything for me at all! Get ready to pay alimony, you scumbag!" Leaving Dylan covered in tears and snot behind, we walked away from the scene. Later, my divorce from Dylan was finalized. I was able to obtain $20,000 in alimony for his infidelity and a significant share of the property. I also claimed $13,000 in alimony from Natalie, his affair partner, who seems to break up with him after leaving her job. Dylan was transferred to a remote location, as per Zoe's mother's orders. He is now working in a faraway place with people whispering about him. He probably won't be able to return to his previous elite career path. On the other hand, I have returned to the single life, and I'm living comfortably. My book has been successfully published, and it's selling well. Zoe and I maintain a close relationship both in work and private life. Lately, we've even been having meals with the company president who supported us. I want to continue working positively while expressing gratitude to my best friend and her mother.